Welcome, everyone, to the world's most fabulous people. I am Tonya Hofmann. I'm your host today, and I do have an incredibly fabulous guest star, Mr. T.Allen Haynes. Hey, T.Allen.
Hey, how's it going? Thanks for having me on your show.
Absolutely. When I thought of fabulous people, of course, you came to mind like immediately.
Well, that's awesome.
So tell us, how does it feel to be this fabulous? Tell us about you.
Well, that's pretty loaded statement, I guess. But being fabulous is about, you really have to care for other people. It's really not about me. It's about how I service others and how I bring others' message to the forefront so they can show their be fabulous as well. So that's the bottom line, and that's the principle I've led with most of my life is being a servant mode and helping people realize their expertise and bring it to the world. And that's the fun part. I was blessed at an early age where I got a great message, and it was in second grade, and I remember it distinctively that, each of us are put on the planet to do something. We have a mission. And that mission is, some people get the message, but they don't act on it. And they wait all their lives before they act on it. And before you know it, quiet desperation, we're 6 feet in the ground. So I watched people in my family do it, and it was disturbing. And I decided that I wasn't going to live that way. So if I could go out there into the world and help people bring their message to the world so they can impact the world in however way, small or big, is my mission. And that's primarily how I operate.
That's awesome. I know. And that's what I love is that you really do help people shine and show their fabulousness, to the world. And I love being connected to you for that. So I know, most people look at us and they're like, oh, you're just so fabulous. I can't be you. But have you always been this fabulous?
Well, it all happened in a moment. I was in 8th grade. And one of the smartest things my mother did was put me in a private school. I was in a public school until 5th grade. And that was during the time of desegregation, and a lot of things were going on in the school system back in those days. And I'm going to date myself here. It was the early 60s, late 60s, early 70s. So she put me in a public school, and believe it or not, I was a victim of being bullied, and I couldn't concentrate. I couldn't focus. And I actually got set back in 2nd grade. But I didn't let that slow me down because I knew my mission. I knew that I was supposed to be helping others. But through that growth process, I become involved in organized sports. And that's the second best thing that happened to me in my lifetime. And not only did I experience winning and being a champion early, but from an individual standpoint, I was a wrestler. And in 8th grade, I was the biggest kid in the city. Imagine that. I was 13. I was 6'3", 222 pounds. So I was quite an oddity. And I was wrestling, and I was pretty shy when I was young. And I went for the championship, and I was sizing up my opponent. And he wasn't bigger than I was, but I had psyched myself out that this guy was going to beat me, and I was going to be embarrassed, and the city was going to know about it, and just blow this thing out of proportion. So I managed to take control of my mind and just came up with a plan that I had to, if I was going to do it, I had to do it quickly, and I had to do it fast and end it, right? So the whistle blew, and I immediately grabbed my opponent's wrist. I had a killer grip. And when I grabbed his wrist, I jerked his arm so hard from my bent up aggression that I pulled it out of his shoulder, and it stunned him long enough where I could get control of him, and I pinned him in 43 seconds for the championship.
Wow.
So that was my first taste of controlling my thought process and experiencing victory and I loved it. I loved the taste of victory. So if I could help others do that and accomplish victory through what I do today, that was a big turning point for me.
Nice. So, would you give us and our incredible listeners a fabulous tip today that we can really learn from?
Yes, I was recently asked to be in part of a book, and the conversation was about how can our school system be improved to accommodate the new economy and where the world is going, because I feel that the school system is failing considerably in that regard. But the first thing that came to mind was being grateful and having gratitude. And that's been my biggest secret since, well, I didn't really emphasize that till the last 3 years or so. And that was a major turning point in my success, was don't focus on what you don't have. Focus on what you have. Because if you're not grateful for what you have, you can't possibly get the other things that you desire. And that is the secret that has been the reason for my most success. Is I'm talking about go through your refrigerator and write down everything in that refrigerator that you're grateful for. Because a lot of people don't have that. Be grateful for your coffee creamer. Be grateful for your feet hitting the floor in the morning. Be grateful for paying your bills. Do you know if you're grateful for paying your bills, that your bills will magically, go away? Showing gratitude towards that. And it's that just simple thing that will propel you to success. And that's my tip.
That's awesome. I know, we're doing a lot of things and more together. You're an executive director for the Public Speakers Association. You were my MC this last year for the conference. I love being around people that really get that it's about being positive and helping others and moving themselves at the same time, right?
Right.
And I know that a lot of times we get stuck in something that is extremely negative that happens to us, and we kind of loop ourselves into that, right?
Wow.
It's hard to get out of that sometimes. Have you created or had an experience where maybe there was an embarrassing moment, or there was something that you just, had this thing that happened, but that you learned something powerful from?
What I've learned over the years is that people get hung up on failure, or they get hung up on embarrassment. And those are the lessons in life. And if you stay reserved and don't take a chance and don't step out there, you'll never grow. And in my new book, The Authority Code, I talk about my journey, and it's one failure after another. And some of the biggest embarrassments when, a lot of people don't know this about me, but I went to college on a football scholarship, and I lost that scholarship. And the biggest embarrassment I had was to call my dad and have him buy me a bus ticket from California back to Indiana. Believe me, I had a lot of time to think about, what happened. But if I hadn't gone through that part of the journey, I wouldn't have grown, and I wouldn't have got to the point where I'm at today. I had to have that in my life. So don't be afraid of that. So, that's a big embarrassment. And, when I started publishing books, I was horrible. It was a mess, but I kept going, and I kept learning, and I kept getting better. Just think if I'd have quit, and, I wouldn't be here today. And one more embarrassment that's propelled me to being a public speaker is I was in corporate America for a short time after being in the military, and I had to speak in front of employees daily. And I hired this guy to speak to 1,500 employees. I talked ExxonMobil into paying him $5,000, and the guy bombed. And I was so embarrassed to ExxonMobil, and they're like, $5,000 to them was like $500. They're like, yeah, no big deal. but I was just so embarrassed. And that put me on my journey. That inspired me to seek out the best in public speaking, learn from them, and never do something like that. Never, have to bomb. So that was a
Right.
couple examples there for you.
Nice. I know. There's so many things that you're like, everyone just thinks that, everything is so smooth in our lives and things happen, you just get over it. And I know it's so funny. This morning I woke up to an email from a lady. She's like, unsubscribe. Actually, she said, unscribe. I'm like, okay, that was a clue there. And the rest of her email was really funny to me nowadays, because it was like, I left Texas because of idiots like you, and make sure I'm not on your email list. I'm like, wow, she is having a bad day.
Yeah, I guess.
And,
They're all out there.
yeah, we and used to. I mean, if I had gotten that 12 years ago, I'd be like, oh, what did I do? What did I say? And now it's like, oh, poor thing,
Yeah. It's their challenge. It's not you. It's a reflection of them for sure.
Exactly. So do you have an incredibly fabulous gift that you would like to give our listeners today?
Absolutely. I have done a soft launch on my book, The Authority Code, and I've got 4 videos to go with it as well on the authority mindset. And you can get that at theauthoritycodebook.com, at theauthoritycodebook.com. And I'll trade you your email address, and I'll give you a download copy of it. And I'll also throw in 3 or 4 additional videos for you to get an understanding of, if you're a speaker, or if you want to be a speaker, or if you're an author or a coach or an entrepreneur. It gives you an idea of how to build your platform. So you can get that as a gift from me.
Awesome. All right, everyone. So immediately go and grab that, because you will love it. It's going to really propel you for the future that you have planned for yourself, and more importantly, what the universe has planned for you, because a lot of times we just don't even own who we are yet. And so get connected with T.Allen Haynes, so that he could also help you figure out, what is that next step. He's incredible at that. So thank
Thank
you
you.
for being on, Tracy. I really appreciate your time and everything.
Well, thank you. It's always a pleasure, Tonya. And I am so grateful for how you're helping me grow and the opportunities that you're giving me. So thank you.
Absolutely. All righty, everybody. So come back again to the world's most fabulous people series, so that you too can be involved in the next fabulous guest star. Thank you, and enjoy, and have a great rest of your day.